Kongu Mahri was an awesome set, but can he be built better? Well, this behemoth of a mock does exactly that. Today, let's take a closer look at how this incredible mock was built, we'll study some of the techniques, the cool ideas, and then we'll take a look at the frame that rests beneath this mock. Let's dive in. Mitch Henry built this incredible mock and it's called Kongu Toa Typhoon. Now, I had the pleasure of seeing this mock in person at Brick Fair in 2022, and I was so wowed by the size of this and just how impressive it looks as well. Later on, Mitch was kind enough to send me some instructions for how I could build this mock. So that's exactly what I did. I followed the instructions and I've got one right here. And now we can take an up close and personal look at all the different building techniques. Now, as impressive as this mock is, what really grabbed me was the frame underneath all of this armor. The instructions that Mitch sent me, you build the frame first, and then you layer all of the armor on top later on. But this frame is a thing of beauty. The idea of making a larger structure like this and then layering in lots of different connection points, that's such a good idea, and it's a brilliant way to help get you started when you make something. I mean, let's look at this upper leg design, for example. So there's multiple areas here that leave room for you to add pieces later on, like these Technic connector pieces here. Later on, we're going to add some armor over the top of these, and they'll be attached with the use of some of these axles. On the finished model, you can see some of them poking out just here. And then yeah, attached onto those axles, we have these Hero Factory foot pieces, and that works well as some nice armor. Down below, we have one of these 1x3 Technic lift arms with a ball joint in the center. Eventually, this dark green CCBS armor piece, that's going to be placed on top of this. And I think that looks really good, doesn't it? It really does help bulk up the armor here and really shape this upper leg design. And then on the sides, we've got some of these T-shaped Technic lift arm pieces. And here, there are two exposed pinholes. When the armor gets placed on top, this branches off onto these dark green Rakshi feet. And there you have it, a really nice and compact upper leg design, armored from the front and the sides. It's sturdy, it's well shaped, it's beautiful. And thanks to the way that this frame was built underneath all of this, it made making this leg design way easier. It set a lot of early groundwork, so when you do get to actually building it and armoring it up, it was pretty easy and straightforward to do. A good frame like this makes building mocks so much easier. And something else that's awesome about frames is that you can use all these different connection points and then place other armor pieces on top. The possibilities are endless for what you can do with something like this. I mean, you got connection points here that weren't even used on the final model. You could just as easily remove all of the armor that was on this Kongu mock and use this exact same frame for a totally different character that's gonna look drastically different. Look dude, if you haven't played around with a frame design before, you should. They open up so many incredible creative possibilities. Now, if you want to build this frame yourself, unfortunately Mitch Henry has said that the instructions for this are currently unavailable at this time. But this frame did take direct inspiration from the iconic Bignicle frame. A frame that's known throughout the Bignicle community for being super sturdy, super posable, and just very well made. So this Bignicle frame was originally designed by Soju Gakari. I'll have a link below to their social media, be sure to check them out. I'll also have a link below to the Bignicle Instagram page. That page showcases mocks that use this Bignicle frame, and it even has instructions so that you can build that frame and other frames as well. It's a super helpful page. Be sure to check it out and give it a follow. Now back to the Bignicle frame. You can certainly see the differences and the similarities when we compare the two of them. Either one of them is going to be pretty helpful if you're building a big Titan-sized mock. It's going to be sturdy, it's going to be strong, and it's pretty unlikely that it's going to fall over all the time. Now, let's not forget about the posability of Mitch's incredible frame. It's got really good knee articulation, so good that it can easily stand up on one leg like you see here. It can even flex, it can bend, it can pose, it moves with so much ease. The relatively hollow waist design also allows for a really good amount of flexibility and movement. It's truly something special. The way that the arm moves and flexes is also really cool. You can actually push this yellow axle into the arm if you want. It can't really flex and move if you do this, but the idea of retractable arms is really fun. The final model doesn't really have retractable arms. This entire yellow axle is what connects all of these different tire pieces and every other piece that goes into making these sick arm blasters. It's a really good design. But yeah, I love all of these exposed pistons on the arms and also on the spine too. Leaving those exposed just looks so cool, and it's got such a nice bionicle aesthetic to it as well. Let me show you a few more ways that this frame can move and pose. You know, honestly, I learned so much about posability and so much about building just from making this mock. If you're ever able to reverse engineer someone's LEGO creation, or if you can find instructions for someone's mock, be sure to build it, because you're going to learn heaps. Studying how other people build is just the perfect way to grow as a LEGO builder. So that's the frame. Now, let's discuss this armored and finished version of this mark. Now, it goes without saying, this can also pose very well. Some of the armor does get in the way of some of the joints and it limits some amount of posability, but enough of it still remains for it to look pretty cool. Now, I did make some modifications on the version that I built here. You can see on Mitch's version that he has these metallic silver wheel pieces up top. I didn't end up using these, and that's because I just didn't have these pieces in my collection. And I feel like I accomplished basically the exact same look with different pieces. Plus, those metallic silver wheels were a little bit more pricey. This was much cheaper. And also, while we're talking about this, the aesthetic of this is awesome. Strapping giant barrels onto your back that store ammo, and then that ammo then feeds into your arm blasters? Heck yeah! That's such a clever way of reimagining Kongu Mahri's dual blaster aesthetic that he had. I love how much this captures the original vibes of the set. Now, if you're wondering, Mitch said that this was taking inspiration from Monev the Gale from the manga Trigun. Now, he's a bit of a side-by-side with the inspiration and the final mock. And I think Mitch did a wonderful job of translating the look of this. And it's cool to see where those blaster arms took a bit of inspiration from as well. Yeah, if you haven't read some manga, do so. There's a lot of great character design there, and a lot of inspiration you can take from reading it. Another great detail are all of the different gears that we see here on the torso. They serve no purpose, unfortunately, but it certainly looks cool, and it makes it feel like a Bionicle character. You know, a lot of early G1 Bionicle sets had gears in their torsos. They served a function, these don't, but still, putting some bigger gears up here, it just feels right. And I love these Baraki eyes down below as this little kind of heart light too. So cool. Looking at the shoulder design, this is a nice and simple technique, but one that works very well. We can see this dark green Rakshi back piece here. And this is simply attached by placing it onto this black claw piece. It just very neatly slots into the very thin line on the very center of this piece. It's quite a snug fit, but it keeps it locked in. Very cool. And then these ammo belts on the arms. These are made by using studs, 1x1 cylinder pieces, and a few of these 1x2 rounded plates. Putting them all together like this, the design is very flexible, and I think at the end of the day, this is one of the highlights of this mock. Including these makes this look 1,000 times cooler. The leg design is also lovely. Always good to see some Knights Kingdom armor pieces being used. These ones in silver, they came on this set. I also really enjoy how these combine with these silver Borak weapons that are on the edges of this piece. So beautiful. Now, I mean, everything about this mock is stunning. The hulking, bulky aesthetic, it's such an unexpected but perfect fit for Kongu. And then this frame is just exceptional. This is probably one of my all-time favorite mocks from Mitch, and it was an utter pleasure to be able to build my own version of this and review it on this channel. Be sure to check out Mitch Henry on Flickr and see more of his incredible work. I'll have links to all of his stuff in the description below. Give him a like and give him a follow. And that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little mock review. Thank you very much for watching. Happy building, and bye for now.